Hi everyone, welcome to English for You. I'm Kat.
And I'm Reese.
And we're talking about learning from the death of a whale.
Oh, why do we always get the sad topics, Kat?
I don't know. Do we have sad faces?
Maybe.
It could be that.
Maybe they trust us enough to be serious about these more sad topics.
Yeah, maybe they think like the other teachers, I don't know, maybe you should, is too silly, and maybe they're like, ah ha ha, this is so funny. Oh, I have to be sad now. You know.
Well, it is a sad article,
Yes.
but it's also another very important article to talk about.
Yeah.
And it can inspire a lot of conversation and hopefully change as well.
For sure, yeah. I remember, whales tend to die for terrible reasons, like they run into boats,
Yeah.
but I think we're actually talking about whales in sort of zoos or Sea World this time.
That's right. And
Yeah.
I think we're talking specifically about one kind of whale,
Yes.
which is called an orca.
Yeah.
Some people call them killer whales,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
actually
I
that
think-
name is not so good.
I think in Chinese it's also killer whales or
Right.
something like it. So it's the black and white, kind
Yeah.
of smaller tooth whales.
They're very beautiful.
They are, and they're very, very smart. So we are going to talk about some things with them, and we'll hopefully teach you something very important about what's happening to orcas around the world.
Reading.
Learning from the death of a whale. In 1983, a company captured a 2-year-old orca whale off the coast of Iceland. The baby was then sold to an aquarium on Canada's west coast. The workers at Sealand named him Tilikum and trained him to do tricks for audiences. However, Tilikum suffered emotionally at Sealand. He was separated from his family and confined to a small pool. Orcas are social animals that live, migrate, and feed over great distances. Males also live with their mothers for their entire lives. When they are confined, the pool becomes a prison and they become aggressive. Orcas don't hurt people in the wild, but Tilikum killed one of his trainers in 1991. After this, Sealand closed and Tilikum was sold to SeaWorld in the US. Tilikum killed 2 more people while at SeaWorld. He died in 2017 at age 36 from an illness that was caused by weakness and an unnatural diet. His mother is likely still alive somewhere in the North Atlantic.
All right, so starting out today's article, we are talking about something that happened about 35 years ago, something like that. So in 1983, a company captured a 2-year-old orca whale off the coast of Iceland. All right, so 2 years old for an orca, I understand, is still pretty young. Like
Yeah.
they're still kind of babies.
Right, whales are big mammals and they live for a very long time. So
Yeah.
2 years old is very young.
Yeah, so what did they do with this whale? Well, they captured it. And capture is our first vocabulary word of the day. It is a verb. When you capture something or somebody, it means you take them, usually if it doesn't want to be taken or, didn't know it's going to be taken. So if you capture an animal, it means you're getting it in a net or a trap, or you are just catching it with your hands, making it unable to escape. Sometimes you can capture animals for good reasons, like helping them if they're sick or if they're hurt. But other times, and a lot of times, it's so that humans can keep them somewhere like a zoo or as a pet or something like that. So it's not always for the best reasons. And after being captured, if we keep them, they are what's called captive, which is the adjective. Or you can say they live in captivity. That means they're in a zoo or something like that. They're not in the wild anymore. All right, here's an example sentence for capture. After my dog ran away, the local animal shelter captured him and called us to come pick him up. So they caught my dog and they were like, come get your dog.
So that's an example how capturing things can be good, because you don't want your dog running around the streets where it might get hurt.
Right, exactly. So where did they capture this whale? Well, they captured him off the coast of Iceland. Now, Iceland is, as you might know, an island country. It's off the coast of northern Europe. It's very cold there because it's very far north. And the water around it is kind kind of close to the Arctic Ocean. So the water is very, very cold. There's usually a lot of different kinds of fish and whales that come around that area. And I think orcas will go to Iceland or to the northern parts like in the summer.
Yeah, Iceland is very close to where I'm from,
Really?
in England.
Oh, I guess.
And the ocean and the seas around there are all connected, and so sometimes off the coast of my hometown, the North Sea, which is very cold, famously, we get whales there too.
Ooh, what kind of whales?
All kinds, and particularly we get blue whales and baleen whales too.
Blue whales are the biggest kind. They're my favorite.
Yeah, but you have to go quite far out to see them.
Yeah, I guess, because they can't come into, shallow places. They're too big.
Exactly.
Yeah. All right, so what happened to this little whale?
Well, the article continues and it says, the baby was then sold to an aquarium on Canada's west coast. Okay, so
now he's in captivity.
He's in captivity, he's been captured, and he's in an aquarium, which is kind of like a zoo specifically for fish or sea animals.
Yeah.
And he's in Canada. Canada's a nice place, right?
Yeah, for sure, mostly.
Yeah.
Nice people. They always say excuse me and sorry and thank you.
Sorry.
Yeah, sorry. Anyway, so the article goes on and says, the workers at Sealand, the park, the aquarium where he was at, named him Tilikum, and trained him to do tricks for audiences. Yes, this sounds familiar. If you've ever seen videos of SeaWorld, if you've been to SeaWorld, you will see videos of dolphins and whales like orcas doing tricks where they get up out of the water and they have the trainers stand on their nose, something like that. Yeah, the
reason that they use dolphins and orcas in particular are because these are incredibly intelligent.
They're very smart.
Very smart animals.
Yeah.
And that makes it even worse in some ways that we treat them so badly because they have this high level of intelligence, which also means maybe that they can have higher emotions and feelings.
Yeah, and they might have, more needs than the average animal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, the article continues and it says, however, Tilikum suffered emotionally at Sealand.
Oh dear.
Yeah, that's not good. Yeah. I think if I was stuck in a cage or a zoo for my whole life, I would suffer emotionally too.
Yeah, well, you think about all the people who are stuck inside right now, they probably know what it feels like because they are, they can't go out, they can't go anywhere, and they're feeling like, why is my life like this? Imagine that's what animals in zoos feel a lot.
Yeah. And we have this verb here, it's suffer. And it's so sad that this poor animal had to suffer so much. And so suffer is one of our vocabulary words, and it's a verb that means to experience something bad, painful, or unpleasant, not nice. Nobody likes to suffer, but all around the world there are people suffering from different terrible things. People who can't afford food often suffer from starvation. That's when you could die because you can't eat enough.
Yeah.
And animals all around the world suffer every day because they are mistreated by people. So suffering, which is the noun form of suffer, is a terrible thing.
Yeah.
An example sentence using suffer would be, the native people of Australia suffered greatly when the British took their lands.
Right, and we talked about that in a different unit this month.
We did, another sad one. We had another word here as well, which was emotionally. And emotionally is an adverb that means in an emotional way. So emotional means with lots of feeling and emotion. If you do something emotionally, it means it's something important to you and you care about it a lot. So the adverb emotionally could be used to describe a positive or negative experience. For example, the girls cried emotionally when they were reunited after not seeing each other for 6 years. So that would be positive.
Yeah, because they're so happy, they probably end up crying from happiness.
Exactly. Or another example could be the couple spoke emotionally as they prepared to say goodbye to each other. That would be a more sad emotion.
Goodbye, my love.
Yeah, it's all about context.
Yeah, so it sounds like his emotions were suffering.
Yeah.
Yeah, so he didn't, maybe physically he was healthy, but in his mind and his heart he was feeling like, my life is terrible, I hate this,
Very sad.
Yeah, so the article goes on to say, he, Tilikum, was separated from his family and confined to a small pool. Great. So not only is he in a tiny little pool, but he's separated from his family. Let's learn what separate from actually means. All right, when we talk about somebody or something being separated from something else, it means you put them apart. They were together, now they are separated. You are separating them from each other. So Tilikum can't see his family because they're somewhere else and he's alone away from them. This also, when you say separate from, you can also talk about things or places. So a door separates these two rooms from each other. Or these two things are separated from each other. You can say any of those. We also have this word confine, which means to keep somebody in a small place and to kind of trap them there. It means they can't move very much and there isn't a lot of space. It's also not very comfortable to be confined somewhere. Or you could say, I am confined in my room, or I am confined to this part of the house. So confinement is being in a closed space, but it's not very comfortable.
Confine. When I was a naughty boy, when I was younger, my parents would confine me to my bedroom.
Oh, so they say, go to your room.
Yeah.
And you can't come out.
And I can't come out.
Oh.
But luckily, I was a good boy most of the time, so it didn't happen much.
Yeah, same for me.
Yeah. Well, let's continue with the article. It says, orcas are social animals that live, migrate, and feed over great distances. Okay, so there are different kinds of animals, obviously, some of which are very social and some of which are very solitary.
Yeah.
So solitary means they spend time alone, but what does social mean?
Well, maybe I think humans are social.
Yeah, humans are very social animals, and it's an adjective, and it's a word that describes something, usually a person or an animal, that likes to be around other people or animals. When we use it to describe an animal, we are talking about creatures that are used to living in groups and interacting with each other, like orcas or monkeys. When we use it to talk about a person, it usually means that that is a person who enjoys and feels confident meeting new people and going out all the time. Not everybody is comfortable being super social, and that's okay too. Some people prefer to be alone.
Yeah, I'm kind of in between. I am social until I get tired, and then I want to be alone.
Yeah. I think I'm very social. I really get bored if I'm alone for too long, but sometimes I do need my alone time too. So an example sentence using social would be, my friend Kara is not very social. She values her alone time in the evenings.
So then orcas are very social. They spend a lot of time together.
Yes, they're very social, and animals that are social need to be social, otherwise it can really affect their health.
Yeah, imagine if you are alone all the time. Like you don't have anybody to talk to. The only other things you can talk to are some weird animals, which would be us humans.
It could make you go kind of crazy.
It would.
Yeah. Well, we had another word here, which was migrate, we can talk about quickly. It's a verb, and migrate is when an animal moves from one place to another according to the season. So animals do this because the weather changes, so they might need to move north or south to find food or a safe place to live.
Or have babies.
Or have babies, that's right. Humans can migrate too.
Yes.
So migrant workers are people who move away from their home to work and earn money. It's a kind of migration.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, so I think whales are actually quite famous as having some of the longest migrations in the world.
Yeah.
They can swim thousands and thousands of miles every year to find a new place to eat or have babies.
Yeah, I mean, that's why you find the same kinds of whales in the very, very south part of the world and the very, very north part of the world. So they can go for a long, long way. Yeah. That's why when you want to find a whale, you have to go to different places during different times of the year.
Yep.
But anyway, let's go on talking about this. So we know a little more about orcas. They are social, they migrate, they spend their lives with their families. And males, as in male whales, also live with their mothers for their entire lives. So if a male baby grows up and becomes a man whale, it does not leave its mom. He's a mama's boy always.
My mum would not enjoy that. She has 3 sons, and if all 3 of them stayed with her for her entire life, she would go crazy, I'm sure.
Probably.
Yeah. Well, the article continues. It says, when they are confined, the pool becomes a prison, and they become aggressive. Yeah. So we talked about the word confined already.
Yeah.
Being trapped in a small place.
Yeah.
But what about the word prison? Well, it doesn't sound very nice, and it's because they are not. Prison is a noun, and it's one of our vocabulary words, and it's a place where people go when they've done something bad, like committed a crime. So if you steal something or kill somebody, you might go to prison for a long, long time, and they are not nice places to be. The article says that the pool feels like a prison to the orca. That's because they have no way to escape, just like a real prison, and they are being held against their will. That means they have no choice. Just like a real prison, except these animals didn't do anything wrong.
It's up to be in the wrong place at the wrong time.
Yes, exactly. So an example sentence using prison could be, Freddie's hospital room felt like a prison to him because he had to stay there for a long time.
And that does sound pretty bad.
Yeah.
Now, what do we mean when we say they get aggressive?
Okay, let me explain. Aggressive is another word we should talk about. Aggressive is an adjective, and something that is aggressive is dangerous and ready to attack. You should not go near an aggressive animal, as it might bite or scratch you. You can usually tell when an animal is aggressive, as it might show its teeth or push back its ears. People can be aggressive too. If a person is looking angry, shouting, and seem like they might punch somebody, they are aggressive.
All right, so aggressive orcas. Orcas are kind of small as far as whales go, but they are not small. We are much smaller than they are.
Yes.
Yeah, so you don't want to be on the bad side of an angry orca. Now, what the article says is orcas don't hurt people in the wild, that's true, but Tilikum killed one of his trainers in 1991. Yeah, so I remember reading about this. He grabbed her by the arm or something and dragged her under the water until she drowned. Yeah, it was really, really scary and very sad because, you know, she didn't know what was going to happen and he was too out of his mind to do anything else. All right, now we have a grammar point here. We've got this phrase, in the wild. Now we're looking at it as an adverb phrases used with a preposition. So if we put a preposition like in front of places in a sentence, that lets us use them like adverbs. Adverbs are used to show how you do an action, especially a verb. For example, we could replace that phrase with one word. Orcas don't hurt people usually. Orcas don't hurt people much. Orcas don't hurt people often. Yeah, that's true. It can also be used to answer the questions of how and where and when does this thing happen. So let's use a simple example. I eat lunch. How do I eat lunch? I eat lunch with my hands. My hands are probably messy.
Clean them.
Yeah. Where do I eat lunch? I eat lunch at school. So now we have with and at. Those are two prepositions. Now when do I eat lunch? I eat lunch in the morning. What? I didn't know. I didn't know. I thought I would eat lunch at noon.
I guess 11:59 is technically the morning.
But okay, yeah. So I eat lunch in the morning. Now, if you use a preposition with a phrase like this, then it becomes an adverb phrase because it shows how you do that verb.
Thanks, Kat.
You're welcome.
Well, the article continues here and it says, after this, Sealand closed and Tilikum was sold to SeaWorld in the US.
No surprise because, you know, if you hear that a trainer has died, you don't want to go to that park.
Yeah, it's very bad publicity for that place.
Yeah. All right, so he was transferred to SeaWorld next. And SeaWorld is much better known, I think. They have parks everywhere. And I'm kind of surprised they still have parks everywhere. But yeah, SeaWorld is known for its shows and for, you know, having lots and lots of dolphins and whales. Now, Tilikum killed 2 more people while at SeaWorld. So SeaWorld did not treat him well either, and he got aggressive and he killed 2 more people.
It seems these aquariums, these zoos are not really learning their lesson.
They're not. So, I mean...
Yeah. The article continues here and it says, he died in 2017 at age 36 from an illness that was caused by weakness and an unnatural diet.
Yeah, it's not really a surprise.
It isn't. No. Let's talk about the word illness first. Okay, so illness is a noun, and an illness is a disease or infection that affects the body or mind. If you're feeling sick or have the flu, you have a kind of illness. The word illness is not specific, so anything that makes you feel bad for a long time could be called an illness. They're not very nice things to have. So an example sentence could be, my grandma spent 3 weeks in hospital because of a bad illness in her lungs.
All right, so yeah, he had an illness, which is not very surprising because the things that orcas eat in the wild are very, very different from what they can eat at SeaWorld.
That's true.
And that's the next thing we're going to talk about is his diet. Now, your diet is a noun, and it's the type of food you eat, how much you eat, your eating habits, when you eat, all those sorts of things. Those are all part of your diet. It's basically the way that food fits in your life. So different animals have different diets. Cows eat grass and hay. They're easy to feed. Big whales eat tiny little shrimp, but they eat a lot of them. Orcas have teeth, so they eat fish and they eat seals, and sometimes they eat other whales, and sometimes they eat sharks. You can see their food is really big. But in captivity, you can't give a whale another whale to eat. So he's not getting the food he needs. He's probably getting just fish, a lot of fish, and that's it.
Yeah.
And maybe only one kind. So his diet is not natural. It's not what you would find in nature. So here's an example sentence. It is important to have a healthy and balanced diet. Definitely. That means if you eat a lot of junk food, you do not have one of those.
Yeah, stop going to Moe's Burger.
Yeah, or only go maybe, once a week or less.
Yes.
All right, the article goes on. His mother, Tilikum's mother, is likely still alive somewhere in the North Atlantic. Probably wondering where her baby is.
That's sad.
Yeah, but anyway, the North Atlantic is, we mentioned Iceland before. It's kind of the area of the Atlantic Ocean that's around Iceland. So it's around England and I think Canada and Ireland and Norway.
Yes.
That's about where the North Atlantic is.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's all we've got of our article, I believe.
It is. Yeah. We can move over to our For You chat question now. Let's have a look.
For You chat.
All right, so our For You chat question today is, have you ever been to a whale show or seen a whale in the wild? If so, describe your experience. How about you?
No, I have not been to a whale show, and I don't think I would like to go to one.
Me neither.
And I haven't seen a whale in the wild.
Really?
But I have seen a whale shark.
Oh!
Not technically a whale, but
Very big, though.
a big kind of fish. Looks a little bit like a whale, maybe. It was beautiful, but no, I would love to see a wild whale.
Ah, cool. I've seen, well, dolphins are technically whales. So I've seen a lot of dolphins. I went to Guisan for a whale watching trip, and there were lots and lots of dolphins in the water there. And I saw humpback whales from way far away in Hawaii.
So cool.
Yeah, they were having fun. They were jumping out of the water and pew!
They're amazing animals.
Yeah, they're really cool.
Well,
Anyway.
have you guys at home seen whales before? I think around Taiwan there might be a chance to see some whales.
Oh yeah, there's lots of, dolphins, small whales, that kind of stuff.
So cute. You can talk about that with your friends and learn about their experiences. But for now, we're going to end today, and we'll be back tomorrow with day 2. Is that right?
See. Yeah, that's right. So we're going to talk more about whales in captivity in day 2, and we will see you tomorrow. Bye.
Learning from the death of a whale. In 1983, a company captured a 2-year-old orca whale off the coast of Iceland. The baby was then sold to an aquarium on Canada's west coast. The workers at Sealand named him Tilikum and trained him to do tricks for audiences. However, Tilikum suffered emotionally at Sealand. He was separated from his family and confined to a small pool. Orcas are social animals that live, migrate, and feed over great distances. Males also live with their mothers for their entire lives. When they are confined, the pool becomes a prison and they become aggressive. Orcas don't hurt people in the wild, but Tilikum killed one of his trainers in 1991. After this, Sealand closed and Tilikum was sold to SeaWorld in the US. Tilikum killed 2 more people while at SeaWorld. He died in 2017 at age 36 from an illness that was caused by weakness and an unnatural diet. His mother is likely still alive somewhere in the North Atlantic.
Vocabulary Review.
Capture. Larry captured the spider with a glass and took it outside. Suffer. The dog suffered as it was locked in the car on a hot day. Social. My cat is really social and loves to play with people. Prison. The animals at this zoo look sad. The cages must feel like a prison to them. Illness. Andy was sick for a long time, and he couldn't work because of his illness. Diet. My doctor says I need to get more fruit and vegetables into my diet.
智慧小补帖
Emotionally. Confine. Migrate. Migrate. Aggressive.
以上节目是由活用空中美语制作。活用空中美语杂志，请洽询全国各大书店。如欲索取试听教材，请来电02-2364-4000 02-2364-4000，或上网查询，网址是 www.english4u.net www.english4u.net